Hello everybody, welcome back. I am TheChornick, and this is my Elder Scrolls 6 Theory Series. Yes, and in this episode we're going to discuss Summerset Isles. Now this place is the homeland for the Aldmeri, and previously the homeland for the Aldmeri, their ancestors. This is the place of the High Elves, where the High Elves roam and reign. And we're going to discuss the theories and ideas for Elder Scrolls 6 if it was to be taken place within Summerset Isles. Now, this could just be for the Elder Scrolls 6 or a future down the road for just the Elder Scrolls future in general. So please comment your posts and stuff below if you agree with me or not on my ideas I present here in this video. I also want to warn you ahead of time that maybe I'd probably jump from idea to idea. I'll see how I'll keep it together, but please bear with me if I jump from one idea I'm talking about and then I later come back to it and repeat the same thing. But who knows? But I will try to keep it I'll try to keep it organized as much as possible within this video. So the first thing we will discuss in this video is the main plot. What would the main plot be for the Summerset Isles? Now, with the Summerset Isles idea, I believe it won't be just Summerset Isles, but it'll probably be a multiple province setting. So it would also include either Valenwood and Elsewhere, or it would include, the whole Aldmeri Dominion, or it would also include Cyrodiil in there in terms of a Great War major plot. And I believe this could, would be the next major, plot for the Elder Scrolls. If this was the Elder Scrolls 6 game, it takes right after Skyrim, and what happened in Skyrim, they were even saying, such as what's his name? I can't think of. Oh, Galmor Stonefist. He in the Stormcloak army, he said that after they regain, Skyrim and restore Skyrim, they're actually gonna march over to, they're gonna march over to here to Summerset Isles and wreak havoc and invade. And also, if you joined the Imperial side, Talos says that Skyrim will come to arms in the near future. So the events after Skyrim, that after the Civil War, whoever wins, if whoever Bethesda decides to win that match, will probably come over and invade Summerset Isles in the near future after Skyrim. So maybe we'd either hear lore about the war that would happen right after that, or we would have the war itself within the game for the next game. So this could either be the Great War, or this could just be Skyrim versus Summerset Isles. So but I'm kind of leaning towards it being more about the Great War kind of setting. I think the audience itself, everybody would enjoy that more as well. So with the Civil War, I believe that the Great War will be the next biggest plot for the Summerset Isle based game. But anyway, that's just something we can think about. Speaking of the Civil War, there's also places and people within Summerset Isles who I believe would join the cause of the Empire. Why? Well, there's a city called Frosthold. The city called Frosthold is actually ruled by a Dunmer. So it's not. So this city is actually not ruled by the High Elves, but rather ruled by a Dunmer queen. And there's often huge kind of debate between if the Aldmeri should really be ruling, should the Thalmor actually really be ruling Summerset Isles, and that there's some big question between the younger generations about whether the Thalmor should actually really be in power right now. So there is a huge debate between there's a lot of resistance within Summerset Isles that might join the Imperial cause for this Great War side. I think that Frosthold would definitely take the side of the Empire if there was some Civil War kind of, not Civil War, I keep saying Civil War because I keep thinking about Skyrim, but no, it's the Great War for within the next game. But speaking of which, the Thalmor, like, you know, everyone thinks the Thalmor are just so bad and everything. And the thing is, you know, they kind of are bad. You know, they really are bad. I mean, compare in how Skyrim, you know, suggested them. They, you know, they just seemed so bad. How Skyrim revealed them to be. They just seemed a really bad people. You know, pulling people off and killing them for worshiping Talos and all that. And so, a lot of debates going on that, you know, Thalmor and the High Elves are actually evil. Note that this is the political faction and not the High Elf race. A lot of people think the High Elf race, you know, is evil in itself because of Thalmor, but, you know, it's just the Thalmor that are kind of really the evil political side to this that makes it look like the, you know, High Elves are evil. So I hope we actually see a bigger plot with the Thalmor, obviously, within the next game, and maybe instead of perhaps a Great War, there could be a Silver War, perhaps, like there was in Skyrim. However, this would be, you know, with the people from Frosthold and people from Coldrest and other races that were allowed onto Summerset Isles, and they could, like, join forces, and, you know, with the people that, you know, that are, you know, that they don't like Thalmor, like the political factions and other, like, the Altmore people, the other High Elf people, like, that don't believe in the Thalmor and their ways, could revolt, and there could be some, you know, huge, you know, civil war, and maybe which the Nords come down. You know, maybe this is where, if the Skyrim Stormcloaks won the Civil War in Skyrim, you know, this is where their story could take place as well. The Empire could also take their place as well, so it could either be the Empire or the Stormcloaks in this situation. But, you know, this just gives more possibility for the Stormcloaks if they did win the Civil War that happened in Skyrim. But anywho, with the Thalmor, they actually they had a whole, you know, backstory in which they just came to power in such a bad way, and that's, you know, that they lied to, you know, the Wood Elves, and they lied to the Khajiit to be able to form this Aldmeri Dominion. So, and with the Khajiit, they, you know, there was 2 moons that disappeared for a little bit, and then the 2 moons came back, and Khajiit, you know, have like a religious thing with the moons around Nirn, and so you know, the Thalmor took credit about the, you know, about the moons coming back, and so, you know, the Khajiits were like, whoa, thank you, oh my gosh, we'll join you, da da da, you know, like, we support you, da da da. So the Khajiit joined the Thalmor in this after that happened. So the Thalmor have kind of been, you know, being little tricksters here and there to be able to gain their allies, and they rose to power kind of in this, like, you know, bad kind of way. But, you know, obviously the Thalmor are kind of like the more evil side presented into this. So the Thalmor and the High Elves, I feel like the next game will be a war between the humans and the elves. So the Empire, the Stormcloaks, all of them versus the Aldmeri Dominion, or maybe even, you know, like the other elves, like the Dunmer, you know, for example, maybe even Bretons, but even Bretons are part of the Empire, so, and they are actually more of a human race than they are elven, but they have the elven blood within them. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about here. But alright, to move on to the next point, we're going to talk about Daedra worship. Now, Daedra worship is huge in Summerset Isles. There's a lot of Daedra worship, but there's also, you know, a lot of Aedra worship. For example, auri-el, like if you heard in the Snow Elf plot that was in Skyrim, auri-el is the name that the High Elves give to, you know, Akatosh, and auri-el is their most praised god. And so, while Lorcan is their, like, devil kind of figure. So, auri-el, Mara, and Stendarr are their main worshipped divine gods. So obviously we'll see some shrines about them, you know, maybe some lore with them, you know, in auri-el in the next game. But I believe that because Summerset Isles is also a pretty big place for Daedra worship as well, we will probably see a lot, you know, more Daedra quests and all that in the next game as well. Alright, so next thing we'll talk about is the Crystal Tower. Now, the Crystal Tower is a huge ancient, like, you know, importance for Summerset Isles. is the Aldmeri death place, kind of like graveyard, in which they honor their ancestors, and I believe that there will be obviously some major quest with the Crystal Tower. Speaking of crystal things, there's even a city that is pretty much described as being made of glass or insect wings, is what some reporters have been saying. And that city is Alinor. Now, this city has became the capital of Summerset Isles, and this city, Alinor, is the city of where Chillrend is just part kind of related, because Chillrend is glass. And okay, I'm just kidding. Chillrend is just my favorite weapon, so I had to bring that up because it's a glass sword. But anyway, back to the actual matter at hand. The Alinor, the city of Alinor, the entire province was named after it after the Thalmor came to power. So while everybody else in Tamriel referred to the island of Summerset Isles, Summerset Isles, but the Thalmor now renamed it to Alinor after the capital city. So maybe there'll probably be also some conflict about that name being something of importance in the next game. Also, I'm kind of flashing back again, like I told you before, like with an idea of a multi-province game. It could also have, relatance to Hammerfell in terms of Stros M'Kai, the island in which is also kind of related to Hammerfell. It had a lot of history with both Hammerfell and has history with Summerset Isles. And one point I'll kind of bring up about that is the Slodes. The Slodes were an kind of old necromancer creature that pretty much invaded and attacked the High Elves in the past. And the Slood, I can't really pronounce that. The Slodes, they were just these evil kind of creatures that used necromancy to take out the High Elves and try to regain their power in their own way back and take Summerset Isles back for themselves. So all in all, I believe there will be some quest line maybe about the lore with the Slodes, or with the Slodes returning and trying to take over and all of that. I believe that will be part of like the magic quest line for Summerset Isles. Speaking of the Slodes, there was a flask, an ancient weapon called the Flask of Lilandril. Lilandril is a city in Summerset Isles. This flask apparently absorbs offensive spells. So I believe that this, ancient powerful weapon could return within this game, particularly if the Slodes do return, because in the Redguard game, this item was really important for taking on that quest. So I believe this flask will become very high in importance, probably part of the magic quest line for within the game, for the Summerset Isles game. I also believe that more magic will be implemented in this game, such as water and sun and telekinesis and levitation, because of the high towers and buildings and all that. I believe that there should be there would definitely be more magic, considering this is a a magic fulfilled province. So there would definitely be a whole lot more magic, and this would be an alien-like province compared to like the human-like provinces we've seen in Skyrim and Cyrodiil. So this definitely will be a very unique province. Alright, with that said, there's also the Psijic Order, which has a huge lore based impact in the history of the Summerset Isles. I believe, as we've seen the ghosts of the Psijic Order appear in Skyrim during the Winterhold questline. We saw one of the guys that kind of appeared and tried to help you with that orb, that giant orb, the Eye of Magnus. But hopefully we'd actually see more of the Psijic Order. Perhaps they will be like the people that teaches you magic, kind of like the College of Winterhold did in Skyrim. Perhaps they will be a huge role in the next game. Perhaps the Psijic Order comes back. Maybe that is the major plot line for the magic wise. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching my video. Please post in the comments below your ideas on the Summerset Isle game if it does come out for the Elder Scrolls 6. Post below what you thought about my ideas. I probably moved about a bunch, you know, from idea to day. Yeah, there's probably some ideas I forgot about. So, just, you know, I hope you guys bared with me in this video. There's so many ideas and so many things to talk about within this. I was trying to, you could probably tell that I was trying to rush through this, because there's just so much to talk about. I definitely probably missed a few things, but overall, I hope you guys like this video. Please, please enjoy and watch in the future for more. Thanks for watching. Again, post your stuff in the below, as I said before. And next week, I will probably do Valenwood. Either I'll release that next week or the week after. I might skip a week, because of, you know, I just feel like I need to take even more time on doing these videos, making them even longer. So Valenwood probably next week, or, you know, 2 weeks. So thanks guys for watching. Peace out. Thank you very much.